Okay, is this thing on? Hello, 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 everyone. How's it going? Hope you're all right. If right off the bat, could someone confirm if you can hear me clearly, if I am audible, and you're able to see me, and then we'll get this ball rolling. Um, Nice to see already some people waiting. Thank you for waiting. Don't know how long you've been here but for however long you're here, I appreciate you waiting. It's just, of course, the little bit of delays that usually happens with tech things, right? So, yeah, we already have a question. Shanila, hi Shanila, are you still here? Are you with us? Uh, okay, we have. I hope I say this right. Hasumati, thank you for confirming, and Javin, how are you doing? Hopefully you're okay. Okay. As you know how things go for our live sessions, we keep it open ended. This is an Ask Me Anything session. So, what I've got is anything you want to ask me related to, day before the exam, things you might be unsure of. If there are particular questions, I would request that you type it up in the chat window and I will go through the list and start answering them. I will also add things that I think you should know. So I'll go over a list of things that I always recommend my students to keep in mind, and they are more geared towards helping you in that moment in the exam. Okay, so obviously, I'm hoping by now you would have gone through the entire syllabus. You're comfortable with your preparation. I hope we've been of good help to you guys. But now comes the moment to deliver it, and that's where there are things you need to be in a certain frame of mind. Certain comfort zone sitting in the exam, and that will only come if you know from beforehand what are the things that you need to be doing. And that's what I'll go through a list of things that I recommend that you keep in mind when you're answering your questions. Okay, so let's get this going. Let me take you to a screen which will allow me to do some writing and things. So there we go. So A2 business. Yes, that's still me in a Mickey Mouse costume. Don't ask why. It was a gift from a student, this sketch, not the costume, of course. um, okay, so first question, Shanila, thank you for writing it in. So the question is, if the question specify growth strategy, should we write on internal and or external growth, or the business strategies like SWOT and SOF or PESTEL? Okay, so great question. And what I want to point out here is that it's very important to read and properly know what kind of strategy they want you to talk about. So if the question mentions business strategy, and the question is mentioning any one of the techniques from the business strategy chapter, for example, a very common way for the examiners to ask is that, is using SWOT analysis the best method for the company going forward, right? And that's where the clue is that one of the techniques, the SWOT, that's the technique that you must discuss. But along with that, you should discuss at least 2 to 3 other techniques from the chapter of business strategy, so your answer matrix and PESTEL and whatnot. So that's the clue if the question says business strategy, okay? And it will come with one of the techniques as a hint within it. If the question says growth strategy, this question will 99% will most probably be the first question of the paper. Okay, now it's important to first understand the difference between the first and the second question. So we know we get 2 questions. The first one will always start with the command word of evaluate, and that's where you're obviously given a certain time frame for year 2020 to 2024, for example. And that's the first question where you were being asked to comment on all the strategies that the company had used in that time period, and you give obviously given a timeline. So in that evaluate question, the first question, you can very well be asked about growth strategies, and in that timeline you will be given all the different unit strategy chapters, different application points. So you'll probably see globalization one year you will see they might be doing expansion and capacity utilization and location might be given. Then in another year some financial data and then some HR data. So if it's a growth strategy question, it will be question number 1, and it's going to include all the strategy chapters from your syllabus. So of HR, finance, operations, and HR. So that's the difference. Business strategy, you look at the SWOT and those techniques. If it's growth strategy, you will see that all the strategy chapters of the syllabus are represented. Hopefully that answers your question, Shanila. Let me just fix this. Okay, moving on. So I have not done quite well in paper two. I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe it's not as bad as you think. You always feel you've done worse after the exam, but you never know. Will I be able to pass the business exam? Although this is an A2 session, I'm thinking you're asking me as a combination of paper one and paper two, will you be able to pass a AS? Look, the worry there is that paper two is worth more in weightage, so it's worth 60% of your AS grade. So if your paper two hasn't gone well, then likelihood of landing with a decent grade goes down quite a bit. P1 is just 40%, P2 is 60%. So on balance, let's hope that your paper one was really, really good, so that whatever marks you lost in paper two, you can make up for it. So that's the reality, and that's hopefully answering your question. Hello, Sumati. I hope I'm saying that right. How many pages to write in 20-mark questions? A good question. Often students think that going from 12 to 20-mark question means that you now need to write 4 to 5 pages. Right now, first of all, just think about this logically. Right, you have 1 hour and 15 minutes for your paper. That's 75 minutes. Take out 15 minutes for the first time reading the case study and just the back and forth that you're going to be doing throughout the paper. So at least 15 minutes of reading, that's aside. That leaves you with 2 questions to attempt of 20 marks in 30 minutes each. Okay, that means 1 question, 20 minutes, 20 marks would have about 30 minutes. You say 30 minutes, but really the writing time is 24 to 25 minutes, right? Not more than that. So can you even realistically write 5 pages, logically thinking? Of course not. I would really be challenged if I had to do it. So don't even set that, expectation from yourself. And a good answer would be about 2.5, 3 pages should be more than enough. In fact, think of it this way, that if you're not able to develop an argument in 2.5 to 3 pages, you'll probably struggle to do it over 5 as well. So, be direct, be on point, no point, extending points just so that the examiner feels, oh, this dude really knows the detail after detail. They're asking you to be very direct. You need to be direct in return. And 2.5 to 3 pages. Well thought out, proper structure with knowledge, application, analysis, and evaluation especially spread out. That's what the target should be. Amanda, hello Amanda. I need tips for P3. That's what I'm going to go through in a minute as soon as I'm able to go through all the questions, if not most of them. Don't aim for pages, aim for paragraphs. But not, yeah, perfect. And Kalb, absolutely right. Your paragraphs. Each paragraph is sort of like a self-contained point, right? An argument that you're making, and each argument should have knowledge, application, analysis, and evaluation. So you're spot on with that. So can you please tell us the most important topics for P3? Yes, I can. I have a list of my predicted target chapters for this year. So I'm just going to go through that list. Why don't I do it now? I'm sure everybody would want to know. So these are ones. Now my thought process behind these is that I like to look at questions that have not been recently tested a lot. So this list would include that. Plus the newer topics, the ones that have been added to the syllabus in the 2023 change, you expect those to be tested a lot more than the older ones. So things such as location and scale, you can see on this screen. Let me just point it out. Here, where is it? I'm gonna color it up. Yeah, location and scale, surely. What else? Let me see. So sustainability is kind of new. MBO is new. The entire leadership chapter is new. So these are things that I would pay special attention to, the list that you're seeing on the screen. And when it comes to ratios particularly, I want you to really look at the investment or the shareholder ratios and profitability ratios. They usually come as a combo. So you may be asked one ROCE and PE ratio. and gearing super popular. So those ones I would definitely look at. um, Okay, I still have paper 3 and 4. I need to. Okay, Chavin. So that's good, right? So then I take back all the things that I said to you. So think about it this way: even though your paper 2 went not as well you might have expected, it's still only 30% of your entire grade, right? So if your paper 1 went well and you have paper 3 and 4 coming up, which is another 50% still in your hand, you can still recover the grade and do well. So yeah, chin up. I wouldn't be worried just yet. Hello Noor, how are you, sir? I doubt my paper too. Doubts are normal, but maybe there's going to be some divine intervention, and suddenly your answers will start looking right. So you never know. From what I understand, I have to. Hello, Omer Gaming. Okay. What game are you good at? From what I understand, I have to use strategic theories to explain in paper 3, but in paper 4, I have to explain the theories themselves. Is that right? Not entirely, Omer. I think first of all, the what you have the wrong way around is that paper 3, yes, you get tested on topics from the strategy chapters, but you're never asked to discuss the entire strategy as a whole. So I'll give you an example. You may get a question on globalization in paper 3, right? That's part of marketing strategy chapter. But that would be one topic within the strategy chapter. They wouldn't ask you, okay, tell us about the entire marketing strategy in a 12-mark question in paper 3, for example. So there, parts of the larger strategy would be tested. In paper 4, the entire units or the entire business's strategy is tested. So then, for example, if it's a question on operation strategy, for example, you will definitely be given application points in the timeline about location, about quality, about CPA, about lean production. So expect a lot of things in paper 4. So in paper 4, it's about the larger strategy of the entire department or unit, but in paper 3, it becomes more granular and topic by topic. I hope that answers your question. Tips for how to revise business studies effectively. So look, at this point, the best way to know if you're ready or not is to attempt questions. And I know that you can't write full answers for all of them. So maybe I'll start doing in point form and just go through as many questions as possible, connected with or just compare it with the marking scheme and see if I'm on the right track. Because even if you're getting some of the things wrong, you can learn from the marking scheme, and hopefully a similar question comes in the exam and you're able to replicate the answer. So that's a good, more efficient way. You need to know if you can answer questions. The time is gone to revise. If I were you, I would be just trying to attempt questions as many as I can. Important formulas. So like I said, ratios, moving average, capacity, critical path analysis. But something that I would also like to point out is that your AS level calculations can also be tested in paper 3. Okay, so in recent papers in the June session, there were questions on labor productivity and labor turnover and capacity utilization. So I would also just recap my AS level formulas, and you can find that on the platform. You can obviously go to the CAIE website and look for it, or any other source that you use. So I would recommend that you look at the AS formulas again, just to be sure. For A2, yeah, ratios, moving average for sure, and critical path. These are funky calculations. They like to test you on these. And whichever calculation question you're tested on, obviously it will have a part B or C, which will be an essay answer. You must discuss the calculation in that essay answer. That's an absolute given. The examiner is actually looking to test your ability to use calculation in your essay answer. So don't forget to use those. Because when I revise, I used to forget the concept. Yeah, so look, don't worry about the concept. Worry about your ability to be able to come up with an answer, right? If you can write a decent enough answer, that's the assurance you need. How to analyze and evaluate in paper 3. Okay, I'm just going to go to a document, Amanda, where I should be able to help you with that. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here with answering the questions, because I want to address Amanda's question here, which is how to analyze and evaluate paper 3. Okay, so here's this document. all my learnings about paper 3 dumped into a process flow. That's what this is, way to get good marks in paper 3. So you get tested on two types of questions. There's an 8 marker where they ask you to discuss 2 points. You have a maximum of 24 lines. By the way, you're also given a couple of blank pages in the answer sheet, so that if you go over the limit, then you can just properly mark the continuation of that answer and fill it up there. But make sure that you finish the answer within the space provided, because that means that you're not taking up too much time, which means that you will have less time for the questions that are remaining. Okay, so 24 lines for 8 marker. You have about 14 minutes of writing time. Add about 3 to 4 minutes of case study reading. So you'll spend about 18 minutes on 8 marker. 2 marks for knowledge, 2 for application, 2 for analysis. You do not need to provide evaluation. And analysis is always the advantages and disadvantages of the concept to the business. Additionally, in 12 marker, you divide it into three points, 3 paragraphs, if you want to call it. You'll have 36 lines, about 20 minutes of writing time. This time, evaluation is worth 6, and all the other are 2 marks each. Okay. Now, the question is, how do you go about analyzing or evaluating a question? Okay. What I want you to do is just look at this example. As a sample, I put up a question, which is this one here. Evaluate the usefulness of PED and income elasticity to SCC sales forecasting for mass-produced clothing. Okay. Now, a question like this, clearly here the concept that we are being tested on is elasticity. So that's my knowledge part. I will take the time to define it and use it properly and explain that as part of my marketing analysis. Your application would be obviously anything that SCC does. So they do mass produced clothing. That's what they're thinking of. So as long as you're talking about the case study, you will be fine. The analysis is simply the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages and disadvantages to the business. Now, in an 8 marker, they will tell you either 2 advantages or 2 disadvantages. If it says impact, then it's up to you. Mixture of advantage, disadvantage, or 2 advantage, that's also fine. But the simple idea is that of using elasticity, if this company is thinking about mass producing clothes, what's good about using elasticity, what's not so useful about elasticities, the advantages and disadvantages, simply the pros and cons, the pluses and the minuses. That's what you got to discuss. And then comes evaluation, and this is sometimes where students find things tricky. And I have a checklist that I use, and it helps me to evaluate things, and I'm just going to share that with you. So, go through these 3, levels. It's like a checklist. Think about it in your mind. Have I thought about it? Have I thought about it? So the first thing you got to do is answer the question, right? The question will asking you about a decision. And in this question, they're asking whether they should use mass-produced clothing or not using the elasticity concept. So answer that question directly. Is it useful? Is it not useful? So you have to directly answer what the examiner wants you to decide. Okay. Then the second level, if you think that the decision is correct, so yeah, you should use PED and YED, then give your reasons for supporting it. So it might be the objective, the mission, the external pressure, competition, whatever is forcing you to support the argument, you should bring that. And if the usefulness isn't there and you think that you don't want to recommend it, then obviously also provide solutions that if not this, then what else could they do? So it's always exploring and giving judgment and sort of paving the path for the business going forward. Yeah, keep those things in mind. You should be okay. Okay, so moving on. Where did the last comment go? There it is. Okay, sir, I haven't attempted ANT. I think that's anything. That's okay. You still got 2 days. If you can get things right now, and you have more time for paper 4. So there's no better time than now. So okay, and thank you. I think he's putting up he or she, sorry, I don't know. You're putting up a very good point. You need to come up with a business strategy for the business in question. Yes, absolutely. You don't need to exactly memorize stuff, but you must know how to apply. Yeah, beautiful. And so you definitely need to give a recommendation or a decision, and you don't need to sort of things that you've learned from your books and notes. You don't need to replicate them. It's about your own thinking. Be confident in either recommending or not recommending something, and just put facts behind it. That this is why I'm doing it, and that's all. It's your personal opinion. There's no right or wrong. It's just how well you're able to reason it. So very like says past gave us a PDF for expected questions with the marking scheme. We made this time. I haven't actually this time around, but the topics that I have just showed to you, what I would recommend is that just go through the past papers from 2023 onwards. So since the new syllabus has come out, and you will see very selective questions on these topics. I would just really hone in on those and try to attempt those. And if I'm not able to attempt those, at least look at their marking schemes. That's a good way to do that right now. Sir, or there is the same business. He told us that a student paper of business and eventually ended up getting D, but when they really checked the examiner, didn't even check. Case study for 25 marks. I go ahead. First of all, hello, Mohammad Haris Mirza. Unfortunate with your friends, but those are rare occurrences. In my experience so far, I have yet to find a problem with the way they have gone about the checking process, because they go through many checkpoints before they release the results. At least three people review your paper, and obviously with technology, you're able to see who's doing what. So generally there's confidence in what they do, but obviously you got to expect some form of human error element in it. So yeah, that's all I can say about that. Okay, just a few things about paper 3. Do you have a document that contains business concepts like they're on the channel? It contains concept. I'm not sure what you mean by business concept. Amanda, could you just elaborate on that? In the meantime, let me just take you through a few things that I want you to remember. Yes, Zaima, everything is tested in paper 3. Don't take anything for granted. Absolutely. So there are some clues in the paper that help us to write a better answer. First of all, whatever question you see in paper 3, whatever topic being tested, you will see that in different parts of the case study, there are different headings in the insert. And the heading is the biggest clue about which department or which unit's information is contained there. So let's say, for example, the question was about price elasticity of demand, and you will also see a subtitle in the case study reading price elasticity of demand and something like that. So always look for those headings, and will give you a clue about if it's a marketing question, well, look for application points there. If it's an operations question, you will probably see a heading like operational efficiency, quality management. So that's where you will find the application points for operations. Similarly, if you see a heading for organizational structure, you will see a similarly worded question in the paper, and that's where you match up the two. So those are things to remember, that there are clues in the case study which tell you that this is where the marketing content is, and that's where the application in your answers are coming, application answers coming from. Another tip, very important, that in question 3 and 4, which are calculation questions, they may ask you to perform a calculation for any one particular year. So for in this example, the examiner might ask you to calculate OPM, so the operating profit margin for January 2024. If they do that, what you must do is perform the same calculation for the other year next to it as well. So I will do the operating profit margin calculation for 2024 and 2023. Not show the 2023 in the space provided for the answer, but just reserve it for my essay answer, because you need to be able to compare how the operating profit margin went. Did it go up? Did it go down? So they will not ask you to compare it for both the years, but if they're asking you to calculate it for 1 year, you must do it for the second year. Just have it written on the side in rough somewhere so that you can comment on that in the essay answer. So that's another tip to remember. Yeah. Question 3 and 4 will be followed by an essay answer, and that's a fact. And all essay answers must be a combination of quantitative, which means the calculation they asked you to do, you must include that in your answer, plus the qualitative factors, which is basically everything you find in the case study in words, in paragraph. Those are the things that form your qualitative factors. So, in evaluation, you have to give a judgment or a decision in paper 3. Before providing any judgment, make sure you've used the calculation and you've used as many of the points from the paragraph as possible. That's very, very important. Another clue is that sometimes you given parts of the case study as bullet points. Those bullet points are definitely points that the examiner wants you to discuss. So if something's in bullet points, make sure you use that as application whichever question is related to. So don't forget to do that. Make use of numbers wherever possible in your essay answers. Don't keep them bland. Keep them about numbers, comment on them, and don't write absolute numbers. So I'll give you an example, right? Let's say you had this table and you wanted to say, well, the revenue was this in 1 year and this in second year. Don't write that, oh, it was 18.6 in the first year and it changed to 21.3 in the second year. Instead, write about the difference, that from 23 to 2024, it went up by whatever the number is, or it changed by 5%, 10%, whatever. So always talk about the change or the percentage change rather than absolute numbers. And that will make your answers even better. Okay, don't be stingy with them. Use numbers. Always check your answer before writing. Obviously, that goes without saying. The first few paragraphs of the case study are the most important ones, so read them carefully. They tell you about the current situation of the business, and without knowing the current situation, obviously you can't comment on the future, so that's important. And last thing is, just remember these things. First of all, do not make any assumptions. Only use the information in the case study as application. Don't bring things from the external environment just so you want to prove a point. So that's not possible. That's something that you shouldn't be doing. Secondly, don't write it from the perspective of the owner only. You should approach the case study as a consultant. So, don't just comment in the way that it benefits the owner. Sometimes you have to talk about benefiting the employees. Sometimes you got to talk about benefiting the society. So make sure that you're able to perform different roles depending on what the question is asking you about. And provide reasons for success and solutions to problems. That's particularly for your evaluation questions. Okay, so that's really the paper 3 dump I have for you of all the things that are vital to remember. Okay, I got one more. Let me read. Indian one. Amanda, this is something you can find on our platform. We have revision guides, which are particularly designed for you to, go through a list of topics and just remember all the important advantages and disadvantages. So yeah, you can find it there. Marvin, that would be a very good target to achieve. If you can do 2 years, that's for 7 papers. Paper 3s in 1 year, 14 in 2 years. So 14, obviously more is always better, but this would be the bare minimum I would say you should be doing. Which app am I recording? We are using eCam. So we use eCam, we then connect it to YouTube, and that's what we use to broadcast it live. All right, so yeah, I think can you provide us with one model answer? Yeah, like I said, all things are available. Actually, you can go to our alt website and you click on the store, which is right up there at the top. And the store has lots of free stuff that you can use to prepare for your paper 3, which has some of the sample answers and other tips and tricks that you might find useful. So, just have a look. You'll find something that will suit, hopefully. Yeah, or you can do that. Yeah, there's a lot of live sessions we've done. Absolutely, thank you. So we've done a lot of live sessions where I've attempted full papers and how to model and answer. So you can definitely use that. All right, so I hope I've been able to answer all your questions. Is there anything else you'd like me to comment on? Most of all, look, you can do all of these things, but the most important thing before your exam are two things. First, a good night's sleep. You can't replace that with any amount of studying. Okay, it's better to know 80% of the syllabus and be well slept than knowing 100% of the syllabus and not really having slept at all. You won't remember half the thing anyway. So make sure that's one. And breakfast. If you have an empty stomach, your mind's gonna be pretty empty as well. So two things. That's the dad in me trying to teach you a lesson. So remember that. All right, Marvin, and you're in good hands. Yeah, you've done okay. Good job. Even I haven't watched all my videos over again, so thank you. Will there be for P4? I'll try to bring it. Right now, it's not part of our plans. But if we can, even if we can't, I will probably make a similar video like the one we'll be able to make right now in the live session and maybe share something for you. But there's a lot of past stuff in our playlist. If you just want to go through some P4 stuff, scroll through it and you'll find some gold there. Okay, we good? Hopefully, everybody. Okay. All right. So I guess so. In the end, I just want to say good luck to everybody. You've been working hard for a long time, and I hope you get better than what you are hoping, better than what you're expecting, and better grades than the examiner thinks he's about to give to you. So good luck. Do share with us how your experience goes of the exam and whether we were able to help you or not. Helps us being a better platform. So your feedback is always welcome. Okay. So just before I go on, I'm going to answer the last question, how evaluation is different from analysis. Analysis is simply the advantages and disadvantages of a concept. So if the question is asking you whether XYZ business should use moving average, then the advantages and disadvantages of moving average would be the analysis. Evaluation is should they use it or not use it? Will it be useful? Will it be painful? Will it be costly? So it's the perspective, the judgment that you provide of, is this a good idea for the business or not? That's evaluation. Marvin, you are one of our success stories. That's great. And that's awesome. So there you go, guys. She's the sign that you'll be okay. I hope you do better in your A2 exam than you did in your AS. All right. Thank you, everybody. This was good, interactive, as I always like it. Once again, good luck to you in your exams, and hopefully we'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.